Hey there, Universes. Welcome to another Build a Deck. This one's going to be coming from one of my patrons who has made a kind of an essay of a request, actually. So we're going to be working pretty hard to fulfill this one, but I'm very excited for it. They're looking for a Kirishima 3 deck, and they're looking for a much more control playstyle under the death symbol. Death is very good at destroying foundations, so that shouldn't be too tough. The idea that they've presented me with, the concept that they've thrown into my lap, is they want a very, very late game focused deck, but they have kind of like a couple main concerns. The first is getting cards in hand, because Death is not fantastic at card drawing, and the other is late game survival, i.e. deadlock. Now, Death has some pretty generically powerful deadlocks. We do have, obviously Vile Season and Snack Time. Those are like the two big ones. Those are ones like you go into deadlock and you're about to get pretty seriously messed up. With some solid incidental ones, Berserker Blow, Gas Cloud, Evil Gaze is a pretty sick one too. There's some solid ones here and there, but for the most part, we got like Prehensile Tails in here too. Possibly, there's like some really solid ones we can look at to help us in that late game state. But the idea is play a death control deck that goes for a pretty sizable long game under a character that's going to wear down their resources. And so I want to take kind of all of those things and fuse them together a bit. We're looking at Kirishima 3 here. This guy is a 7-hander. We're playing him on the death symbol, which is a little spooky, right? Death defense is not the craziest stuff in the world, but he's got great words on him. We full block and attack, it deals, we full block and attack, it deals no damage, so we, stop one throw / jolt type card a turn. And then when anything is full blocked, both of us, me, Kirishima, and you are going to destroy a foundation. So like this is just a 1-for-1 exchange, but obviously if you're playing a deck that's destroying a lot of foundations, this is going to get backbreaking pretty fast because they're going to have to destroy something good because they're only going to have good foundations left, right? And you can always just pick and destroy your worst one because they're probably not destroying your foundations very much. And of course, if the rest of your deck is destroying a lot of foundations, this is just better and better and better. And then if you partial block me, you're losing 2 health, so you basically can't partial block him, unless it's like really big, right? But for the most part, the partial blocks are almost going to be as punishing as just taking the thing head on. So not a bad character to want to draw out the game with, right? This enhances like a bad version of Mirio, right? If I catch you off, but at the same time, we get to be a 7-hander, and we're going to try to play this control game plan. And so we have like a pile right here. We have like a 74 card pile. They said they'd rather kind of be somewhere around 70, so I'm going to try and stick to that number, but we will see what happens. This attack lineup. It's all over the place, man. It's all over the place. And there's a lot of things I like, right? Vile Season's very generically good. Palm Strike is very generically good. Like, this is a cool 1x, this is a cool 1x. We've got 4 Hardened Fists, which is really cool, but we have a lot of non-Furies in this, right? We've got 3 Cheerful Uppercuts here and 3 Blue Flame Palm Strikes, which is not fantastic per se. Berserker Blow is probably just kind of there for the deadlock ability on it. A couple Touch of Decays I also do not hate. Plays really well with Kirishima, right? If you full block me, I'm going to get to do our thing, right? And bounce this. So you should probably just half block me, right? And then you'll just, lose as much anyway. So you should probably just take it, right? Oh, but then if you just take it completely, I get to draw a card. This is very neat in this deck. So we're going to try to clean this attack lineup a lot. And the first thing I want to do is, one of the biggest concerns with this deck was drawing cards, right? Death does not have a lot of draw power. Learning to harden is kind of like the best thing that's come into it there. So in the interest of just keeping our hand filled, we're going to go full Furies. We're going to go full Furies because Howitzer Impact Cyclone says, draw 1,000 cards, and Stun Grenade grabs you a free attack, right? So I mean, it's pretty standard stuff, but like those are going to be like the main pieces. From there on out, though, I do have a lot of cool Furies that I think would go really well into this style of deck. So in the interest of going full Fury, we're going to chop out these Palm Strikes. Uppercut probably goes on the side, though, because that card is really good against a lot of decks right now. And so we're just going to chop out those. From there on out, we only have Furies, but I do want to keep... let's see, we just took out 6 cards. So I'm just going to put the 4 stuns and the 4 cyclones in there for now, because I have a lot more stuff that I want to shove in. The next one that I want to look at here is Sludge. Sludge is just like a nice solid low attack with stun 2 once we've snagged momentum. That's fine. However, if we're going to play a 5-diff stun 2 move, I have a way cooler one in mind, and its name is Turn to Dust. This card also has stun 2. It's a high, so, you know, not as fantastic, but hey, maybe we're getting their high blocks out for the Cyclones, right? Because since you don't want to partial me, when I send my highs as Kirishima 3, you're going to want to use your high block or just take it fully. And at that point, if you catch yourself running out of the high blocks, well, here comes Cyclone for a million. But Turn to Dust goes particularly hard in this deck because not only is it a stun 2 move, right? It's also got two abilities that potentially result in them destroying a foundation. Hey, remember that's like our entire thing. I'm pretty sure when you're playing your Foundation Destruction Turbo Kirishima deck, they are never allowed to destroy for Turn to Dust. It's lose 2 every time. And then like either take it or half block it, lose 2, or full block and give me your high block, then I'll start tearing you up with the Cyclones and stuff. It's very, very, very fantastic. I think Turn to Dust is really good in this deck. Maybe just at 3 copies. We'll kind of have to see how our numbers line up because there's a lot of attacks in here. Next up, Berserker Blow. Not a fan of this one in here. I like only really care about this card if I'm Nomu. It's a solid Deadlock Enhance. Just target, destroy 2. That's very good. But like at that point, just run the 4th Vial Season, right? That's like, this is a way more backbreaking Deadlock Enhance, and this is just like a much better card. This is a cantrip, right? Our issue is not drawing cards. Stun Grenade goes +1. Vial Season probably goes +1. Howitzer draws a bunch of cards. So I'm just going to cut these Berserker Blows out of here. Not a big fan. Hardened Fist. Well, now that we're full Fury, this card does look a lot better. And this, you know, just also like effectively says stun 1 and flip a foundation, right? Because they're going to destroy one of their face-ups and then build the top card committed. So it's like flip 1 and stun it is essentially what you're getting, which is a great combo enhance. And then if you full block me and let me do my response, I also get to build 1 for free. That's really good. And then, you know, we're going to have some other ways to be destroying some foundations potentially inside of this deck. So I do like this card still in here. I want to go down here and kind of take a look at the other stuff I've got in here. They had Aggressive Clash in here. They told me Aggressive Clash is in here for untimed top cut games, so that you can just like reset all the attacks, which is really, really funny. For the sake of like visual clutter though, I'm going to start clearing these things out of here into some potential other attacks. Hardened Blitz, we actually don't get to play unfortunately because we're on the death symbol, and that one does not have other hardened or red attacks. So like we're basically just dealing with like, you know, red counter, you know, it's pretty much just Hardened Fist and then like our potential one of them Unbreakable, right? So this card unfortunately does not mesh very well in our deck. Now as far as cards that do mesh well in our deck, Nitro is very generically good, but I want to keep within our theme of destroying foundations. So as crazy as it sounds, we're going to play a Fury deck without Nitro Ignition in it, but also like we don't clear the card pool, right? So it's not as crazy, but Full Calendar Impact is what I want to talk about here. This card's like crazy awesome inside of this Kirishima 3 deck. If you full block me, you'll blow one up, then we'll both blow one up. So you're gonna half block me. Oops. Then you're gonna half block me, take 2, and then lose 2 with my response. Sucks to be you, man. But you also can't really full block me, right? Because I'm gonna probably get some extra damage. I think this card's very good inside of our deck. I think this is like a really solid, fantastic opener for us. We have a lot of attacks. I think Hardened Fist could probably go down to like a 3 of. Cyclone probably has to stay a 4 of just because like it's Cyclone. I think the Touch of Decays will probably have to go here. I think Touch of Decay, it's cute in this deck, but I think we really want to lean into our theme of destroying a lot of foundations. This is still so many attacks though. I'm just gonna leave this right here while I go revisit other stuff. We have a 1 of Gigantic Explosion and a 1 of Red Riot Unbreakable in here. I think both of these cards go really hard. Explosion is a really sick finisher, but this is more of like a wear you down type of deck, and I think Cyclone also fulfills the role of just being such a like good, it's a good finisher, it's a good, you know, flow, it's good resource, everything. So I think we need to get an Explosion. However, I'd love to add a second Unbreakable in this deck. I think that card is really sick in this deck. Telling your rival to destroy a foundation and then building one is really strong. It's really good. It's also got Breaker 1, and it's got this really nice response. I think this card goes incredibly hard. That still puts us at 21 attacks, which is gonna be around where we end up, right, inside of our, you know, potentially 70 card deck. I think it's starting to look really nice. Let's kind of go down here. We'll move Full Calling outside of here, and then I suppose I'll put oh no, did it take it out of the main deck? No, it didn't. It just says that because EVS Ultra gets a little kooky sometimes. I'll put set of 3 of for now. Honestly, you know, the more I'm thinking about it, do we even need Stun Grenade? I don't think it's the best poke, right, inside of this deck. I think I'd rather be sending things that are going to fulfill my game plan. Not to mention, we don't really clear the card pool otherwise, so it's like only ever going to be a stun 1. Maybe make it like a 2 of, and then I want to put in that like 4th full Cowling Impact. Because it feels crazy to run like no stun grenades. I don't know. That might be where we end up though. I've got red counter here. I think this is more of a sideboard card. I thought it'd be like a cheeky 1 of maybe if the main deck didn't end up so big, but I think it's a sideboard card. From here on out, I'm into either a 1 of Howitzer Impact or a 1 of Decaying Palm Slam. I think because we're more or less reliant on our actual either Howitzer Cyclone or our character's full block response to get this. No, Turn to Dust will also activate it. We do have a fair amount of ways to actually activate Howitzer Impact. I just think this card's so sick. I just think this card's really, really awesome. I really like the idea of like a 1 of it. Either that or like a 1 of Decaying Palm Slam. I think this card's really good, but we might have too many momentum outs at that point. I mean, I guess like we have a lot of momentum outs, but at the same time, like we have a lot of things that consume the momentum. I think I'm actually sold on taking Stun Grenade out. I think I've been selling myself on it throughout this, and I think it's the correct thing to do. Then I can 1 of both of these. At that point, you kind of have to ask yourself, well, what are my pokes, right? What are my pokes now that Stun Grenade's gone? It's File Seizing, it's full Cowling Impact, and it's Turn to Dust. Those are like your best openers in the early game, and then once you snag some momentum, Unbreakable and Palm Slam also become really, really good openers. I think this is a very, very difficulty heavy lineup here, which might be a little awkward, but the idea here is that like we're gonna be getting so much resource manipulation out of these that it is potentially okay. I think it's potentially okay. And like keep in mind, when you're doing the thing, this is a 4-diff, right? So I think that's what I like as far as attacks go. Now, we've really, really settled into this like control playstyle here, which is mostly based on foundation destruction, because like the reason I really settled on this, aside from our character saying destroy a foundation on face, all right, and a lot of our attacks doing similar things, the main thing about bringing a death deck into the hardcore late game is death is not particularly apt at blocking. Right, they don't have they have a lot of like not so attractive block mods. They don't have a ton of speed reduction. Struggling with studies is like the best defensive trick, right? And so for the most part, when it comes to like surviving into the late game or dragging the game out, I should say, you're not really going to do it by blocking. Even as a 7-hander, you've only got 20 health. You're not going to be able to block more than 1 or 2 things a turn for the most part. It's going to be tough. So you're going to be reliant on getting into that late game scenario by destroying your rival's resources. I think that's the better tree to bark up if we're trying to take this death deck into the long game. So looking at that, I need to trim a lot of these foundations. Genuinely need to trim. I want to do a lot of trimming because I have a lot of cool things I want to put in. I have a lot of really cool stuff I want to put in. So we're going to start going down the list and trimming stuff that I'm not crazy about. Force and Surrender, we don't really need in the main. We don't have like echoes or anything that this interacts with, so I don't need this in the main board. It does not need to be here. Learning the standards, I also don't want in the main board. I think obviously it's a great sideboard card, but I don't think this is like that intense of a deck. Facing Danger, I'm trimming, so it's gonna go as a 1 of. From there, I don't think we really have the speed manipulation to make Spooky feel that fantastic in this deck. It's kind of like a nice like save us from a bomb, but I have cards that I'd rather put in that do that better. And then I'm going to trim some of these zeros. I think Keen Observation is very good because our guy says they lose 2 health, right? Tight-Lipped is obviously fantastic. Surviving the Final is some of the scarce speed reduction inside this symbol. So I think I'm actually just going to cut Foresight because I don't think that we need like a million zeros in this deck. As nice as it is to have a million zeros, there's a lot of cards I want to put in. There's a whole lot. And then In Control is probably the one I'm least into after that. And our block zones still don't look super bad, so I don't have to keep those in mind like too terribly hard. Not too terribly hard. Now from there, we have like 2 Gas Cloud and 2 Somewhat Style, and I think you really only need 1 of these cards. I think you only need 1 of these cards as far as like anti-stun type of abilities. So I think I'd rather have Gas Cloud. Actually would rather have Gas Cloud because burning them for 2 is like really, really solid in a deck like this. And Somewhat Style destroys my own foundations, which I'm not. My foundations are just very precious to me in this deck. Like Solomon's, it's a good card, right? Don't get me wrong, it's a good card, but I think it more so fulfills the purpose of stun hate in this deck, and I would rather it be doing other stuff, right? And then In Control, I'm not very hot on, but we're going to see what we do have, like, speed reduction-wise, because, I don't know, this card checks a 4, and I'm just not into it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it in the sidebar in case I want to go back to it, but for the sake of ease, we'll just take it out right now. Take it out right now, and then I'm going to start going through stuff. So we're trying to be this control deck, right? First things first, I think we need 4 apathetics. This card says flip their things, and that's very good. Destroy things, flip their things. It's like you know, kind of diminishing returns sometimes, because, like, you know, I'm gonna flip your thing, and that's probably what you're gonna destroy with Kirishima's response. But that's fine. I'm still getting to your thing, and that's the important part. Not to mention, we have a lot of other abilities that destroy a foundation in this deck. We have to get Chivalrous Competitor flipped. We have to get Chivalrous Competitor flipped because that card is going to ruin our day, all day, every day. I destroy my foundation to make you flip your foundation. Obviously, Chivalrous doesn't work on character abilities, but, like, when it comes to stuff like, you know, like Turn to Dust, Unbreakable, we need Chivalrous out of the way. So I think Apathetic is kind of a must in this deck, especially, like, as a control deck. So I want that one in there for sure. Continuing forth, I want to make some decisions on my 3 diffs, because Unbreakable and League of Invitation are fantastic. League of Invitation essentially saying target commit their thing is very good, and Unbreakable letting you full block no matter what you block with is very good. It's you know, it's essentially repeatable wall cling, which is fantastic. So I like Unbreakable. I'm less sold on League of Invitation. The other guys fighting for this slot are basically Blood Evaluation or Desperate Struggle. This readies itself and draws us a card, which is like a massive resource exchange for this deck. But Desperate Struggle also says, I don't die to your random bomb. So I actually think I want to put 2 Desperate Struggle in here. This is a don't die to your random bomb. I'm going to cut the League Invitations for it. I think Desperate is the better tree to bark up inside of this deck. Blood Evaluation will... I would love to play all 3, but that's just a lot of 3 diffs, man. It's a lot of 3 diffs. Internship with Best Genist as a 0. I kind of like the idea of, no lie. I kind of like the idea of, because again, we're trying, like this one is like a little worse because they get to pick, and then like that's the one that they destroy with Kirishima, right? Whereas like Apathetic is the same thing, but I got to pick what you flipped, right? So I still got my job done. So maybe this one's not as fantastic. Let's kind of keep going through the list here, because I feel like we really need some more speed reduction. I did take out In Control, right? So like our low blocks are probably a little ugly right now. So we're going to do my favorite thing ever, guys, and we're going to put 4 Happy-Go-Lucky in the deck. Because I am so hot on use my ability that destroys my own foundation, pop one of my 2 Happy-Go-Luckies I've built, pick it right back up, do it all over again. That's so good. Kirishima says destroy 1 every single turn, right? As long as something is full blocked. Turn to Dust says destroy my own stuff. Howitzer Impact Cyclone, destroy my own stuff. I think this is like a great way to effectively make all of these destroy 1 foundation costs absolutely free, because we then get to just go pick them up, right? And then if our rival ever tells us, you know, we get to pick something to destroy from one of their abilities, you know, drawing a card on response is really good. And so that's going to clean up our low blocks quite nicely. From there on out, we really need some more speed reduction in this deck. We've got Learning to Harden, to be fair. Like, you know, commit for -2 speed is not great, but it's not ignorable by any means. House of Cards is good momentum hate, but I don't think that we care about that very much. As crazy as it might sound, I don't think that we care about that very much. We're going to continue trimming here as we go. I really want to put 2 All Smiles in this deck. I think this card's really handy, just for anything like, you know, rescue completed, release, just stuff that's gonna like really like tear you apart with those like repeatable abilities. Very good on snack time. And again, it's the resource exchange that our deck wants to do. I destroy 1, you destroy 1. Except I'm gonna come out ahead because in this one I'm actually getting to pick, which is really nice. Stopping them from gaining health is really cool too. Take them out of, you know, keep them from getting out of those you know, like really scary, like I half block, lose 2 and die thresholds. And there's like a lot of healing right now, man. People are playing full on attack mode, people are playing Excited for Blood, people are playing Manifest, you know, villains defeated. Like, I think this card's actually quite useful right now, especially inside of a deck like this. Snack time, I think, is a pretty important aggressive piece for our deck. Struggling and Arrogant are really good low blocks and just really good spam, so I probably don't want those going anywhere. I kind of talked myself out of Internship, I think. Red Right's the coolest, was like the backup low block plan. Glamorous, you know, we put in Apathetics, but there's just not really enough other flips for me to care about this card anymore. I think Detailing the Plan is obviously a sideboard card for sure. You will be siding that one. I'm going to take it out for now, just like for visual clarity's sake. Detailing the Plan, though, and Triple Uppercut, those are your sideboard pieces right there. Man, this has been a project so far, but I really like how this deck is coming along. Let's keep going inside of our foundations, though. I think Let's Fight Bad Guys is really, really nice, but I just don't know if I could fit it in this deck. We didn't do Blood Evaluation, so Refreshing Slice could also be good. We have a lot of momentum outs, though, so honestly, as helpful as that ready might be sometimes, I think keeping our attack momentum costs fueled is a little more important. Now, when we come to some speed reduction, we have Shock Absorption, Mediator, and Graceful Maneuvers here. So between Mediator and Shock Absorption's obviously got the much more attractive block, but we sure do have a lot of mid blocks inside of this deck. But they're basically the same exchange, right? Bust for -3 speed, busting a ready foundation, so you're like going plus in 2 points, whereas Shock Absorption is -2 speed but playable while committed. So they're both like -2 points essentially, but Mediator does draw a card if we've played an action, and there's definitely like actions inside of this deck. So I think Mediator might actually be really, really good defensive tech. As we go through here, I'm starting to think that there's spams I want in here, and I don't think that Gas Cloud is better than them. So I think Gas Cloud is actually going to hit the road. It's like nice anti-stun, but I think we'll just kind of have to deal with it, man. You know, if we get a little stunned out, we get a little stunned out. Let's throw Triple Mediator in here, and then we'll settle ourselves not into Shock Absorption. Graceful Maneuvers is also like the third option there, because like Graceful is just nice because like it's repeatable, you know, and like once you started blocking, right, you get that first block in, and from there on out it's -3 speed, which is really, 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 really nice. Super Region I did have in here, but our character really wants to block stuff, and I think we can put cards inside of this deck that are going to allow us to block, right? This is commit for -2 speed. We've got these Mediators now. Arrogance really good against the punch decks right now. Wow, I just realized we only have 2 Arrogance in here. Oh man. I think there's supposed to be 4 Arrogance, and honestly, probably 4 Struggling as well. We need a low blocks anyway, and these are just insanely defensively slanted spams. They're just really, really good. Now we're starting to get a little tight. In Control, I'm just gonna get out of here right now. As I mentioned, everyone's playing punch decks. This is gonna be -3 speed a whole lot of the time. A whole lot of the time, guys. A whole lot of the time. We're pretty tight on the tech pieces from there on out. Our block zones also still look quite good. I think Brute Strength is really good inside of this deck, because like we don't really have like a whole lot of repeatable stat pumps, but then I don't know. Our techs are sure good at getting very big anyway, right? Like we have Cyclones, this is 7 damage, this is 7 damage, this is 6 damage. We're pretty good at getting like big enough on our own. I do like that it can like trigger learning to harden defensively, but I guess our character already does that. Maybe we just don't quite need this card. I think like a 1 of Night Watch is just fine because there's a hefty amount of actions inside of our deck. We don't really have enough. If we had more hardened attacks, I would be into this as just like, you know, also powerful Deadlock Enhance, but I think, you know, we have enough 1 diff low blocks, right? We have Arrogant, Struggling, and Happy-Go-Lucky. I think that's enough as far as that's concerned. This is a 71 card deck now. We might need a couple more attacks maybe, because I don't really know if I want to trim any of these foundations. I just like a lot of these foundations. At the same time, I don't know, I'm pretty married to a lot of these. Mediator is maybe the one I'm the most flexible on. Maybe Mediator, honestly, Graceful Maneuvers might just be better when it comes to speed reduction. And we don't really need the block as well. And honestly, I might even trim our actions a bit. Let's Fight Bad Guys is like the last one that I want to put in. Is it? It's definitely not better than Snack Time. It's definitely not quite better than Snack Time, especially with Snack Time having that very good deadlock, and a lot of the deadlock in this deck has been kind of ripped out, but we destroy our own foundations as much as our rivals' foundations. So honestly, like this deck's games will last long, but the concept of going like past 10 is like probably just not really a thing, if I'm gonna be real with you. Let's look at our actions and assets. We have a singular League of Villains. This is fine. This is a fine one of. We're trying to be a control deck. This is a fine one of. Then we have this trio of Evil Gaze, Spear and Shield, and Showdown. And Showdown is like obviously the best block here. But to be quite frank with you, I think Showdown is a little bit optimistic inside this deck. I think blocking with this +3 is going to be pretty tough sometimes, except for when you have the real nice ones. I actually think that I would love a bit more of a generic focus on Evil Gaze and Spear and Shield. Side showdowns for sure, but I think the attractive block mods of these both being 1 mids with Breaker 1 is really good. Is really good. And Evil Gaze feels fantastic in this deck. I'll full block, blow up one of your things, and then we'll both blow up a thing. That's so good. And then Breaker 1, if I have like, you know, the other Spear and Shield, or if I have any other breaker in this deck, yeah, we have Ray Ride Unbreakable, which is pretty epic. We have Vile Seizing. I love it. I think that's really good. That brings us down to 69 cards, man. But honestly, I think I want like 3 Evil Gaze, 1 Spear and Shield. That is actually what I desire. That's what I desire inside this deck. Prehensile Tail might be one to revisit. Kick, Punch, or Slam. There's 1, 2, 3. I mean, those are some pretty impactful attacks to be able to turn into throws. But again, if our rival is getting to Deadlock, man, I don't know, dude. We did something wrong. I thought Conflict might be really cool as like a freeze, you know, but at the same time, they're just gonna destroy, right? They're gonna destroy anything that we freeze. So I'm actually like, I don't know. I don't think I care about that card as much. This is also not very relevant. So Let's Fight Bad Guys is really the only other thing that I kind of wish was still in here. But like, I mean, for a 70 card deck, our block zones are pretty balanced. 21, 29, and 20 is around there. And we'd be putting in more mids, but I don't know, maybe we just don't need speed. We're not like that desperate to force it in, you know? Like our opening poke getting blocked is fine because then we get to do our character, and it's like a win-win either way. This is like a 70 card deck now, so I feel like we need like a couple more attacks maybe. What if we just put in the 4th turn of Dust? Because that way we have 4, 8, 12 fantastic openers. And then it puts us in 23 and 71, which is like a little small, but we got a hefty amount of draw power. We have 10 zeros, which I think is super fine. 4 Arrogance, 4 Struggling, a couple snack times. Only 2 is very low. There's going to be a lot of games where we don't see this card, but I think it's okay. This is a bit more of like a, you know, it's a bit more like just like we find it during the late game and we need to start forcing things through. But if we don't ever find it, it's totally fine. The one I have nothing to see here, I haven't really talked about, but this card's obviously very good in our deck. We have a full Fury lineup from here, so, you know, essentially just saying like, hey, I'm going to open with my move. I'm going to commit this. You're not allowed to full block me. You'll lose 2 foundations. So just eat my move and it's fine. And then discarded momentum for -3 speed on this is actually really good. Actually really good. Then we've got just like some safety nets between Desperate Struggle and Unbreakable. And then this sideboard's really easy to make, man. You can sideboard like more Desperate Struggles for the big decks. You can side more All Smiles for like the life decks. You can side more Night Watch for the combo decks, you know. Like the sideboard here is really easy to put together. More Evil Gaze or Spear and Shields. Like these are really flexible. Man, this is cool. This is really sick. I think this 71 card pile here is where I'm gonna call it for this this Kirishima 3 build deck, because we're going on almost 30 minutes right now, and I think any more tweaking to this deck probably just needs to start coming from playtesting. But I think, holy cow, you're going to destroy so many foundations with this deck. You're going to destroy so many foundations, and you're going to make rivals have to build a ton against you. And that's how we survive as a 7-hander on the death symbol, by our rival taking a couple more build turns than they probably want to against our very resource intensive deck. I love this. Zeth, I hope you love this, and if you're sitting at home watching this and you also love it, I'm going to have the deck list for UVS Ultra linked down below. And while you're down there, if you want to check out the Patreon and maybe sign up and get a little deck commission like this of your own, get this little experience, that would also be super cool. But man, if you just watch this whole lengthy frickin' video, I appreciate that all the same. Either way, that's all the time I have for today. Thanks again for watching, and I hope I can see you in the next one.